this is a response to Baby Doll Debbie's dare for people to share their most embarrassing moments. So far, her story and the one response to it thus far have to do with an article of clothing falling off, which isn't surprising. So I'm not going to break with the theme, because that's definitely has to do with my most embarrassing moment. At least one that has any kind of an interesting story to it so far. It was around 10th grade. Yeah, it was like September, so near the beginning of our 10th grade year. And I was at my friend John's house. He was like my best friend at the time, with my sister and his friend TJ, and a few other of his friends. And we were playing games outside, whatever. It was about 9 o'clock at night, so it was getting pretty dark. And we decided to play Capture the Flag, which, if anybody doesn't know how that game works, it's like you divide a field in half, and then one team stays on one side and tries to sneak over and find the other person's flag and bring it back without getting caught, and the other team does the same. And John and I ended up being on opposite teams. Now, at this point, Mandy, my sister, and John's friend TJ tended to do this little coupling thing, and, you know, John and I did, and it wasn't really a dating thing, but they were just the other person we hung out with. So, in general, you know, where John went, I went, and where Mandy and TJ went, you know, they went. So it was just John and I on one side of the house, which kind of blocked the view of the rest of the game, and we were on opposite teams. And I don't know if they have this variation of the game in other states, because I've only experienced it in Minnesota. When we played in Texas, they never did this. But it was what they call tug of war, where you can like reach out and grab someone and try and pull them over to your side, and then put them in jail. And so John asked me, he's like, "You want to do a tug of war?" And I was like, "Of course he'll win. He's like a lot stronger than I am." But I'm like, "Okay." So he grabs my wrist, and I grabbed his wrist, and we pull. And I fell backwards. Now, his hand slipped out of mine, and my hand slipped out of his. But my sleeve stayed with his hand. And I don't even know how this is physically possible, but I fell, the shirt came with him, so the entire thing somehow managed to come off from pulling on one sleeve. So I fall down, shirtless. He has my shirt in his hand. He tosses the shirt, spins around, falls to the ground, and starts yelling, "I didn't see anything! I didn't see anything!" I grab the shirt, I'm turned around, I'm scrambling to put it back on, I'm yelling, "I'm wearing a tank top! I'm wearing a tank top!" Which I was, but it wasn't a very reliable tank top. It was just one I was wearing with it because I felt like wearing a tank top under a shirt. You couldn't even see it. So, yeah. Thankfully, none of his other friends were over there, especially his friend Terry, who, I don't know how to put this. He was more obsessed with women than a lot of young men are. His favorite thing to do at parties was to always attempt to throw things like toothpicks down my shirt. Always made John mad. This was a couple months before John and I started dating, but for the rest of that night, we wouldn't even look at each other. It was really funny. Very, very awkward. You know, especially because we were both starting to like each other, and we were both like, that was weirdo. And I did find out later through a friend of mine. Not surprisingly enough, John saw a lot more than he admitted to, which didn't shock me, although I wasn't paying much attention at the time. I was just trying to focus on getting my clothes back on. So yeah, that would definitely be my most embarrassing moment. By the way, I kind of look like a Quaker in this shirt, especially by what you can see in the camera. All I need to do is like have a bonnet. That's kind of an odd side note, but yeah.